Title: The Cheetah Who Confused Speed with Success. In modern Shenzhen, young founder Zhao Ming ran a startup called Silver Crane Tech. His favorite line was, "If the deadline doesn't scare you, it's not good enough." He kept setting crazy short timelines to impress investors. His team pulled constant late nights, fixed bugs last minute, and lived in emergency mode. The app shipped fast, but it was unstable. The team was exhausted, and motivation was dropping. One night, his uncle, Zhao Yun, took him to drink tea near Lion Washan Park. "You're treating your team like cheetahs," Uncle Yun said. "Let me tell you what happened to a real one." Part 1. Ling the cheetah arrives in Bamboo Valley. Far from Shenzhen, there was a quiet place called Bamboo Valley, between Wulong Karst and the Tea Hills. The animals there worked in calm, steady rhythms. Shan the water buffalo pulled plows in the rice fields near the Qing River. Mei the panda slowly searched for the best bamboo. Yun the red-crowned crane stood almost motionless, waiting patiently for fish. One spring, a stranger arrived. Ling, a sleek cheetah from the grasslands. Back home, Ling had lived by speed. Chase fast, kill fast, rest, repeat. She saw the valley animals and thought, "They're ridiculously slow. If they moved like I do, they'd get so much more done." The younger animals, Hao the hare, Xiao the civet, and Ning the young goat, were impressed. "Show us how you hunt." Hao said, "Is it true you can cross the valley in one breath?" asked Xiao. Ling smiled. Finally, an audience that respected speed. Part 2. The Impossible Plowing Plan. The farmers of nearby Hongyan village announced the start of rice season. The deal was simple. If the animals helped plow and plant, they'd share in the harvest. Shan gathered the animals. "We'll plow the fields over the next few days, like always. Slow and steady. We finish on time, and the fields last." Ling laughed. "That's why your valley is small and poor," she said. "You think in days. I think in one day. Give me a team, and I'll plow 3 fields in a single day." Shan looked at her for a long moment. "The valley isn't your savanna," he replied. "There's deep mud, heavy plows, farmers' bodies, animal bodies. Push too hard and something will break, yoke, tool, or person." The younger animals were already sold. "He's just scared," whispered Hao. "We've been lazy," said Xiao. "Look at Ling's speed." The farmers were tempted by the promise of extra grain. "Fine," they said. "Ling's team will try 3 fields in one day. Shan's team will handle 3 fields at the normal pace. At harvest, we'll see who did better." The test was set. Unrealistic deadline versus realistic pace. Part 3. 3 fields in one day. At dawn, Ling chose her high-performance team. Hao the hare, Xiao the civet, Ning the goat. 2 wild boars, De Chong and Xiao Chong, strong and eager. She scratched a rough plan into the mud. Field 1 done by mid-morning. Field 2 by midday. Field 3 by sunset. "No breaks," she said. "No complaining. Today, you work like cheetahs." At first, the results were impressive. The boars tore through the first field, dragging the plow at high speed. Hao sprinted ahead, yelling out where the stones and roots were. Xiao ran between them, repeating, "3 fields today, 3 fields today." Ning shouted encouragement from the sidelines. They beat Shan's usual time on the first field easily. From the hill, Shan and his slower team, older buffalo, ducks smoothing the mud, looked almost lazy in comparison. By late morning, at field 2, the cracks began. Muscles burned. The boars slipped more often. Hao's paws ached from constant sprinting. The furrows started bending, some too deep, some too shallow. "Can we stop and drink?" Hao gasped. "Do gazelles stop for water mid-chase?" Ling snapped. "Drink while moving. We're not average." They pushed through, cutting corners silently. By the 3rd field, the sun was brutal. Blisters tore. One boar strained a leg. Ning stumbled and nearly fell under the plow. The lines were sloppy, coverage incomplete, but technically done. As the sun set, the 3rd field was just barely finished. The valley buzzed. 3 fields in one day. Shan took 3 days for his. Ling, panting but proud, told Shan, "See, your realistic schedule is just fear. Unrealistic deadlines made us do what no one thought possible. Sean answered simply, "We'll see at harvest." Part 4. When reality shows up. Weeks passed. The rice grew. From a distance, all 6 fields looked green. But up close, Shan's fields had straight, evenly spaced rows, consistent depth, and balanced water. Ling's fields had empty patches where the plow had skipped, dense clumps where rows overlapped, sections too deep, roots drowning, and too shallow, roots drying out. Most animals didn't notice or didn't care. They only remembered. Ling did 3 fields in one day. Shan can't match that. Then a storm hit, heavy rain and wind. The next morning the farmers walked the land with Shan. In Shan's fields, many plants were bent but still rooted, distributed and anchored. In Ling's fields, whole sections were flattened or ripped out. Weak clumps attracted pests. Water pooled in some spots and vanished in others. Shan said quietly, "We treated soil, tools, and bodies like they had no limits. We finished the task on paper. The land remembers what we did. So do our muscles." At harvest, the numbers made it undeniable. Shan's 3 slow fields produced more rice than Ling's 3 rushed fields. The farmers frowned. "The cheetah is fast," they said, "but her work doesn't last." Suddenly, impossible deadlines looked less heroic and more foolish. Part 5. The warehouse by the Jialing River. Ling was hurt and defensive. "We were new to the valley," she told herself. "Next time we'll be faster and better." Big results always look messy at first. But her original team was burned out. How limped. Ning's back hurt constantly. The boars avoided any talk of one more sprint. Then a letter came from the river city of Yuzhou. A trading company, Red Lantern Traders, wrote, "We're building a new warehouse by the Jialing River. Others say it takes 3 months. If you can do it in 1 month, we'll pay triple." Ling saw her comeback. "See, Shan," she said, "city people get it. They respect results, not excuses." Shan asked, "Will you take your old team this time?" Ling hesitated. They were slower now, full of doubts. "They're not built for my standards anymore," she said. "I need new blood, ones who don't complain about pain." She left Bamboo Valley with a new crew. Stray dogs, ambitious young goats, and city rats hungry for bigger rewards. In Yuzhou, she stood before the half-finished steel skeleton of the warehouse. The Red Lantern boss pointed at it. "We need this finished by the Moon Festival," he said. "Everyone else says it's impossible." "It's only impossible for those with low expectations," Ling replied. "Give me full control and enough workers. I'll deliver." From their point of view, they just hired a miracle. Part 6. Speed versus safety. Under Ling's leadership, the site exploded with activity. Concrete poured late into the night. Welders worked under harsh light and little rest. Safety checks were shortened. "We'll come back and review later." Rest days were postponed. "We'll rest after launch." Some foremen pushed back. "The plans say this concrete needs 3 days to cure." One warned. 2 is enough," Ling snapped. "Concrete responds to heat and pressure, not the calendar. We'll reinforce somewhere else to compensate." The managers loved the visible progress. Rival companies muttered, "If they pull this off, we'll lose clients. We can't match that speed." By the Moon Festival, the warehouse looked complete. Walls up, roof on, lights working. A big red ribbon across the entrance. Fireworks over the river, lanterns glowing. At the grand opening, the Red Lantern boss announced, "Others need 3 months. We did it in 1. The future belongs to those who refuse realistic limits." Workers clapped on cue, but many were exhausted, coughing from dust, and carrying hidden injuries. That night, Ling stepped onto the roof, proud. "You see, Shan," she thought, "unrealistic deadlines separate legends from the slow." Down in the foundation, a hairline crack lengthened quietly in one of the main supports. Part 7. Collapse, Consequences, and the Real Lesson. Autumn thunderstorms hit Yuzhou. The Jialing River swelled. The ground around the warehouse got saturated. Inside, the building began to groan and creak. One evening, after most workers had left, a loud crack echoed through the structure. A support weakened. A section of the roof shifted. and part of the warehouse collapsed. Luckily, the shift change meant only a few people were inside. They escaped with minor injuries, but the damage was serious. Investigations followed. Engineers discovered supports that hadn't cured long enough, rushed welding in critical spots, safety forms signed off without real checks. A worn-out foreman said, "We knew the timeline was insane. Every time we raised it, we were told, great companies do the impossible. So we cut corners and hoped we'd be lucky." Red Lantern's bosses tried to blame miscommunication and field errors. But too many witnesses remembered being pressured to move faster than was safe. News reached Bamboo Valley. Hal brought the story to Sean as they watched their own fields, healthy and solid, after another storm. They copied Ling's style in the city. Hal said, "The building fell. People almost died. Now they all pretend they never wanted that speed." Sean answered, "If you force people and systems to operate beyond their real limits, something will eventually give way. Sometimes it's the structure. Sometimes it's the workers. Sometimes it's your credibility." Back in Shenzhen, Uncle Yun finished telling Zhao Ming the story. Ming stared at his tea. "So your point is, I should never push my team?" he said. "No," Yun replied. "My point is, there's a difference between a tough, honest deadline and a fake, impossible one." He explained, "A stretch goal says, if we cut distractions, plan clearly, and improve our methods, can we move faster without breaking people or quality? An unrealistic deadline says, we'll somehow do in 1 week what normally takes 4, and silently counts on people to sacrifice sleep, safety, and standards. Respecting limits isn't weakness," Yun said. "It's how serious builders think. The strongest teams aren't the ones that sprint once and collapse. They're the ones that can perform well for years." On Monday, Zhao Ming changed his approach. He asked his engineers and designers for realistic time estimates. He cut non-essential features instead of pretending everything could fit. He scheduled proper testing instead of "we'll test if there's time." He told investors, "We'll move fast, but not by lying about what's possible." His team didn't fully trust it at first. They waited for the inevitable crunch. When it didn't come, something important shifted. People worked hard, but not in panic. Quality improved. Team members started suggesting genuine ways to speed up, better tools, clearer specs, improved process, not just work more hours. They still had deadlines, but they no longer wore unrealistic as a badge of honor. Takeaways for you: 10th grade level. Unrealistic doesn't equal ambitious. It often equals dishonest. Ling's fields and warehouse looked impressive for a moment, but reality, storms, gravity, time, exposed the shortcuts. Everything has limits: bodies, materials, time. Ignoring those limits doesn't make you bold. It makes you fragile. That's true of your energy on exams, your projects, and real-world work. Short-term speed can reduce long-term success. Rushing a project might get you early praise, but if it collapses later, literally or metaphorically, your reputation and results suffer more than if you'd done it properly. Stretch goals are healthy. Impossible ones are toxic. A good challenge pushes you to improve systems and habits. An impossible challenge quietly assumes you'll skip sleep, health, and honesty. If a plan only works by pretending people are machines, it's a bad plan. In school, that's the "I'll start the night before and somehow write a perfect paper" strategy. In work, it's "we'll just grind until it's done." Real leadership protects realism and quality, not just speed. Sean refused insane timelines even when mocked. The best leaders balance urgency with responsibility. Ask yourself, in school or side projects, do you plan realistically? Or do you leave everything to the last minute and then call it? Working well under pressure? Are you setting stretch goals that force you to organize better, or fake goals that just guarantee burnout and sloppy work? Be ambitious. Move fast when you can, but don't be Ling, worshiping impossible deadlines and ignoring the cracks. Be more like Sean and Jinyu. They still worked. They still delivered. They just did it in a way that survived the storm. Hey,